Hi, it's Dana Love, and you are on the set of the CIO Newsroom. You're behind the scenes right now. You know that you're behind the scenes because, well, I'm joined by my guest host, an LED light on a C-stand. He doesn't do a lot of talking, so I'll do the talking for him. The housekeeping thing, normally the CIO Newsroom deals with information that's really useful to chief information officers. Stuff about big data, stuff about cloud computing, information about access technologies and mobility. If you're looking for that, this episode isn't for you. Many of the other episodes are perfect. Not this one. This is an episode that talks about the technology, the techniques, the tools that we use, the lighting, the camera, the soundstage itself, the sound and audio quality, the type of post-production work that we do, how we make the stuff work for this podcast and for all of the work that we do in production. And this particular episode, we're going to talk about lighting. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. So LED lighting is the biggest craze. It's what everybody is really focused on, and we are as well. The system that we had been using for lighting for years was tungsten-based, and if you wanted to turn that from that beautiful kind of golden yellow to the nice icy blue that is daylight balanced, you put a big blue filter over it. And then hope the big blue filter didn't melt because those bad boys are hot. And if you're the talent, you melt. Here, I'm cool and crisp and wonderful because we use LED lights. And the LED light produces precisely no heat. Okay, not precisely, virtually no heat. There are a bunch of manufacturers in the US, in Europe, in Canada, and a number of manufacturers in China. And the question is, which light to use? The most expensive are the ones here in the US. The least expensive are the ones that are in China. The question then becomes, what's the difference between the most expensive and the least expensive? Is there a massive build difference? Is there a huge quality difference? Is there a consistency difference? And what are you using it for? Is it worth it to you? So these are the questions that our number crunchers asked as we started doing the work for this. And we got a bunch of different lights. We chose this particular brand, which came from China, after a relatively exhausting and exhaustive review. So we're sharing with you the results of that review. We compared one of each of about a dozen different kinds of lights, different kinds of LED lights. We disqualified about 6 of them right out of the way because the physical build quality was really poor. Now, that didn't DQ any of the really expensive brands. It DQ'd a number of the really inexpensive brands. And we didn't test everything. I will not pretend that we tested every possible product, but we picked the ones that we were able to find and get access to easiest. And frankly, ones that had the best return policies because we knew we were going to keep them all. Thank you for having good return policies. Of the ones that weren't DQ'd because of build quality, the next thing we looked at was color quality. And we looked at color quality across the dimming range. These dimmers go from 100% power intensity to about 10% intensity. And it's a rheostat, so it goes the entire range. It's not a clicky. And the question then becomes, do they show the same color at the different power settings? So we ran a test, and here's what we found. So you're looking now through a lens zoomed in on a WarmCards 2.0 white balance card. The camera is set to an f-stop of 6.3, ISO of 500, and a shutter speed of 125. It's lit by, the white card is lit by one LED lamp, currently set to about 10% output. It's set to its dimmest possible setting. The lamp is powered by an Anton Bauer Dionic 90 battery, so there's no AC flicker. Any of the flicker that you do see is going to be me adjusting the rheostat on the dimmer switch. So we're going to check the white balance on this, and the white balance on the camera is going to give us a color temperature. That's going to tell us the temperature of the light hitting the card. And it is 5300 Kelvin. Now we're going to turn the light up to full maximum. Sorry for blowing your eyes out on this. We're not adjusting the camera at all. We can still do the color temperature test. It'll still be a good test, but I don't want you to think that we're stepping anything down or inserting any filters. The color test is again 5300 Kelvin. Now we're going to turn it down some and do the test 5300 Kelvin. Down some more, test it again 5300 K. Down some more, run the test, white balance 5300. One more time. Now we can all see again, still 5300 K. Down a bit more, 5300 K, and then, well, okay, that was pretty much in full minimum again. So from max to min, the entire range on the rheostat, the color temperature stays consistently at 5300 K. I will tell you that we ran this test on 5 of the same manufacturer's lamps. They're not identical because the color temperatures were different. They were different by a range of 300 Kelvin. Each lamp stayed consistent with its color temperature. So if the lamp registered at 5600 Kelvin, it stayed 5600 Kelvin the entire range. If it was at 5400, it stayed at 5400 the entire range. So the dimmer didn't affect the color temperature of the LEDs. The plus, it doesn't affect the color temperature. The minus, we identified over R5 that there was a 300 Kelvin difference. So having run the test with one of the lamps, and this lamp and then a number of these, some of the other lamps were disqualified because they did change. One brand in particular changed from 5600 Kelvin to 4900 Kelvin over the range of its one dimmer. That's a huge and tremendously problematic thing for us because, well, if you want to use the dimmer, you want the color temperature to be consistent across the lights, or else you don't look the same. Sure, you can blend them all together and do a color balance, and God knows white balancing on cameras has come a long way, and you saw the warm cards that we use. Well, the problem then is, what happens if the really yellow light's over here one time and it's over here the next? I'm going to look different. Even though the color's blended, the light hitting me will be different, and I need all the help I can get. So we DQ'd that at the really high end, the really high variation. It wasn't the least expensive lamp either, which was surprising to me. Of the ones that remained after that, we looked at features. This one has some features that we really like. Most notably, it has the 3 gold post Anton Bauer battery connector. That means that an Anton Bauer battery can be used to power the light. And then you can go charge this bad boy whenever you want. That makes this incredibly portable. You don't have to have a plug in order to have the lamp. It has a 4-prong XLR connector that connects to an AC adapter that allows you to plug it into the wall. That's perfect. It has a dimmer. Some of the other lamps that we looked at had multicolors. That was not a feature that we really thought we were going to need, so I can't really speak too intelligently about that. You're probably saying, hey, he can't really speak intelligently about any of this stuff. It's not very nice. So, some of the other problems relative to the most expensive versions. The most expensive versions have some wonderful third-party add-ons. There are egg crates that work flawlessly, that help to direct the light. There are soft boxes that help to direct the light and help to control the light. So in terms of the way in which lighting is controlled, there aren't any third-party features. Barn doors, don't cut it. There's no huge third-party market that fits these as best I can tell. However, there are things that, shape and sculpt light that are used on different production houses. The biggest one, the one that we use, is the Matthews Road Rags 2. So essentially, it's a big piece of silk that's held up in a frame, and you put that in front of the lamp. Creates a great soft light. And if you want to put more than one lamp in a row and shine them onto that silk, you can double, triple, quadruple the light output. Now, if you tried to do that with a softbox, you would have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 softboxes all lined up. And if you've worked with softboxes, they're not small, and they tend to bump together, and they take away too much room. Also, they can't be put in a row particularly well. They have to be angled around something, which is kind of weird and looming and takes up a lot of space. So in this case, on our key, we've got 2 1x1s together shining on me through one of the scrims, one of the Matthews scrims, and over there we've got another one bouncing through a Matthews scrim. The hair light, which is directly overhead, is bouncing off of a whiteboard. So it's not bouncing off, it's not coming through a scrim, it's doing a bounce. And this guy, as you can see, is not scrimmed at all. He's just naked and waiting for you. So that's why we chose what we chose, and those were the tests that we ran to figure out if these were the right lamps for us. There was a bit of a dating period before we got married, but well, he brought his brothers, and now there's a bunch of them. Hopefully they're not going to go have kids. That was a very strange ending. In any event, my name is Dana Love. This is the CIO Newsroom. You are behind the scenes with me and our lighting. Have a great day. What was I thinking?